Hello, welcome to Red Hot Email Marketing Part 1. Now, email marketing is one of those superpowers in outbound marketing and new business development, as long as you do it right. So here are some of our simple rules to follow. The first thing to say is that just sending millions of spam emails out won't work. In the long run, it will cause more damage to your brand, and if you're running a website, it could really damage the whole way your website's working. So we're going to take a slightly more cautious approach because the risk of doing that is so massive. And this lighter approach is still incredibly effective. It works incredibly well. You just need to put the effort into it, and we're going to aim to keep you within the law as well on here as well, because there's an awful lot of laws that you can break. So these first few ones here are going to be a little bit dull, I'm afraid, in that we're going to go over the legal stuff first and some of the things you have to do to set up right. But in this next series of lessons, we're going to delve really deeply into the following areas. As I said, the first thing we've got to do is get the dull stuff right, the stuff that you need to know that will make a huge difference. So this covers the domain settings, an overview of the laws in the larger markets, the UK and US, testing your domains for spam markers, and when to abandon and move on. Then we'll look at where to get your data from, what to do with it, the principle that I absolutely love, which is dirty list, clean list. Now again, there's lots of pitfalls on this. You can buy data from all sorts of sources. An awful lot of data is really very poor, and some of it's quite good. So we're going to then look at creating the emails themselves. We're going to look at personalization. We're going to look at text-based emails. We're going to look at when to send them. We're going to look at how many to send and what to do when you've sent them. All of these are really critical ways to start growing your list, start growing your customer base, and start getting sales. And then we're also going to look at some of the examples of the best email approaches that we know work. And then finally, my principle that I've worked with my entire career: trial, test, optimize, repeat. We're going to look at how you do that, just how you make sure that what worked today might not work tomorrow, what didn't work yesterday might work tomorrow. So you've got to just keep trialing, keep testing, just making sure that you're looking and you're trialing all the time. So let's get on with it then. I'm afraid it's the dull stuff. I've had to say this before, but it is the dull stuff. If you don't do the dull stuff right, there's no point in even starting with the interesting stuff, as your emails will just not get delivered. This one here is a company called Sport Pursuit. I get an email from them pretty much every day. It makes me think I'm a sportsman, even though I'm not really. And theirs are absolutely intense the way they do it, but they have got an amazing business built on the back of it. So the first thing we're going to look at is this concept of dirty domain, clean domain, which is the same as dirty list, clean list. The principle I work to is that you use a dirty or scrap domain for prospecting for new business. This allows you to keep your actual domain for keeping in touch with your customers and your best prospects. So how does it work? Well, let's say your main domain is www.newbiz.com. All of your online presence is built around this. It's where you've got your shop, it's where you've got everything, all of your blogs, all of your content you've been building. It's a 10-year-old domain. You've been building that up for absolutely years. You're very proud of it. It all works beautifully. You wouldn't want to put that at risk, would you? So it would be crazy to put that at risk just to get a few new customers. So what we're going to do is a sensible way of doing it. If that domain got marked as a spammer, or as even worse, as an unsafe site to visit, it would have a huge impact on your traffic. It would have a huge impact on your Google ranking. So you need to protect it at all times. And if you decided to send millions of emails from this domain, you're doing just that. You're putting that entire domain at risk. So how do you avoid it? How do you protect your main domain and still prospect for new business? It is this simple. You work with a series of parallel domains that are outbound. So in this case, I would have a whole series of other domains all set up. So newbizsales.com and or newbizuk.com, or even newbizmarketing, newbizus, newbiz outbound, newbizanything.com. So it's recognizable as still being newbiz, unless you really want to do some nasty stuff or you want to take the newbiz away. But my advice would always be to try and keep it quite clean, so it stays there with the name newbiz in there. And then you mail from one of these domains. So therefore, even if you do make a mistake and it gets marked as a spamming domain and your delivery rates start to fall drastically, then you scrap that one and then you move on to the next one to mail from. So it means that newbiz.com is always protected. Even if you accidentally burn newbizsales.com, you haven't damaged your main domain. I know it sounds really simple. It is really simple. So the cost of doing it is very low, which we'll cover shortly now. I'm going to go on to that. But the safety you get from your main domain by doing it this way is massive. It takes away the risk. So, buying domains. We all know how to buy domains. It's all very easy. I tend to use GoDaddy for domains. Don't know why, I always have done, because I keep them all in one place and they seem to be cheap. It is incredibly easy to add email services at the same time. So this is one of my own sort of semi-scrap domains here, 48%.eu, and I'll show you what I would do now. So the first thing to do if you wanted to add email services to it is I bought the domain, it sits there. You can then do manage email. This then takes you on to their next sort of buying page, where you add a user, which is easy enough to do. And then they realise then that I don't have an email account associated with this one. Actually I do, but it says you seem to be using all your accounts, would you like to buy some more? Because they're always trying to upsell you. Yes, I think I would like to buy some more. So you click yes, I'd like to buy some more, and it takes you to this sort of purchase a year's worth of email services. And unless I'm missing something incredibly obvious, I've only ever paid for the most basic service, which also happens to be the cheapest, and that's £2.99, which is about $3.50. It's Email Essentials over on the left. That works out at around £50 or $65 per year per domain, which is great value. And if you can't afford to be spending $65 to do a year's worth of email marketing, perhaps you shouldn't be in the right bit. You shouldn't be in this business, because you will get a return. As long as you do it right, you will always get a return. But yeah, there's others prefer Gmail. They're both pretty much the same. It's just whichever is easiest for you. There's no real difference, I don't think. I haven't found any massive deliverability differences between the two. I just happen to like this because it's just one I can plug straight in, and it's pretty much a one-button setup. And I'm on a Mac as well, so I am using a MacBook. So to some, Outlook and Mac don't always work well together, but I've found it to be pretty reliable working on here for me as well. So once you've got the email services set up, you then need to start doing some of the stuff going on behind it. Now, Deacon is one of the super powerful secrets of email marketing. If you take one thing from this video today, take Deacon. It is the bit that you need to absolutely set up. Deacon stands for Domain Keys Identified Mail, and it's a system that shows the ISPs that the mail that is being sent is genuinely from the domain it claims to be from. And I looked at the technical explanation, and it is as follows. Deacon provides a method for validating a domain name identity that is associated with the message through cryptographic authentication. So they've managed to make that actually sound more complicated. And the simple explanation is that when you send from a third-party sender, such as MailChimp or Aweber or Campaign Monitor, even though you can set the sender address as your own, the ISPs can see that it's coming from a third party. So they know it's coming from MailChimp or Aweber or Campaign Monitor. So this means that when you're sending from that, at best your email will be delivered into the promotional tab within Gmail, if you're mailing to a Gmail customer, or at worst it could be considered as potential spam. You're making it easier for them to identify it as spam. With Deacon set up correctly, it changes it. It informs the ISP that the domain you're sending from, i.e. New Biz Marketing, is genuine, and the two entities are connected. So if you have your send from address in MailChimp or Aweber as being Johnny at newbizmarketing.com, it says, well, actually, we're the same person. So it proves to the sender it's from the actual domain, and even though it's coming from a MailChimp server, it is a genuine email from you. Now, there's a tool here from Google to allow you to check whether it's set up correctly. I've just put this bit.ly shortcode to it, so you have to make sure you get your upper and lower case. I'm going to show it on a couple of screens as well. So it's bit.ly check Deacon, capital C, capital DKIM. Now, if Google give you a tool, then my advice is use it, because they don't give many tools away, and anything they are setting up that will help you is really, really worth having. This allows you then, it goes all the way through, it actually allows it authenticates your domain, or it checks whether your domain is authenticated. If it's not, you can go back and do it again. Now, big piece of advice, when you're messing around setting up your Deacon, if in doubt, don't guess, because getting it wrong is very, very bad. So I'm not going to show you every way of getting this set up, as it's different for all the domain name providers, but it involves you adding a new text record, somewhere like this one over here. That's the SPF one, which is not for everyone. Some people don't dare mess this up, and I'm saying this from experience because I have messed it up myself in the past. You then need to add a new CNAME record as well, with most of the things to get it right, and then you need to verify it, which can take sort of 24, 48 hours. If it hasn't happened then probably go and get some advice, because you've probably done it wrong. It should only, oh yeah, that's the other one, but follow their instructions to the letter. Absolutely follow their instructions to the letter. It should only take a couple of minutes to set up. But if you're not confident in doing this, I'll reiterate, it's time to phone a friend. Getting it wrong can cause problems. I destroyed one of my own domains by mistake. Had to go and get my technical friend to help me. So, as I said before, if in doubt, run it through the check Deacon. bit.ly http://bit.ly/check Deacon. All, well, capital C, capital DKIM. Go and get it checked. Now, the next thing you do, once it's all set up, or if you want to check one of your existing ones, is there's a really great tool here at www.mail-tester.com which allows you to check whether your domain is already damaged. It's already been marked as a spammer. So as it says on the front of the site here, the first thing you need to do is send an email from the domain you want to test to that address, web-x730f@mail-tester.com. So you send a mail to that, and then you press then check your score. Pretty simple. And then on this one, I got this very nice score back of, look, good stuff, your email is almost perfect. I got a score back of 8.5 out of 10, which is pretty good. So we've sent an email from the domain you want to test. I've refreshed the screen. This gives us our score here, and some further boxes below. Now, what's interesting there is there's a red one, which worries me. I'm on a blacklist. So what we can do now is we can actually click through to that and actually see what else it says about it. Now, bear in mind, it's not always accurate. These things, they're not always accurate, but it's still worth a check anyway. If you get given information, I think it's worth looking and seeing what it says. And see, there's that sort of -1 down there. So we really need to investigate what that's about and see whether we can find any more about it. When you click through, it says here that it is listed on the Sorbs spam database, which, whatever that is, so we're going to have a look. You get the option on here. So what I actually did then was I clicked through to the Sorbs spam database, and you can register. It takes a couple of minutes to register, and you get an email back from them, obviously back to the correct domain, so you can check that, so they can check that you're not just someone trying to remove other people's spam. And this should see the domain all set up correctly, and if you get rid of it on there, then it means that you can your deliverability will go through the roof. So the good news about it was when I actually got through, I went to delist the IP address or delist the domain, and it said it wasn't found in the database. So I think that's probably some form of listing error. I have tried and registered to try and get it removed, but we'll see. So, but my deliverability on this particular one is absolutely perfect anyway, so it doesn't seem to be affecting it. So that's the very first part of the very dull stuff. I'm sorry that's so dull. So here's a little bit of a summary about what we've done there. Before you do the interesting stuff, you have to do the dull stuff. And I know that's dull, but we have to do it. It's really important you get these things right, because if you don't do the Deacon settings, if you don't do the SPF settings, if you don't have decent email, you won't be able to deliver the stuff anyway. So there's no point in even starting. So it's a case of working through this short technical list, getting the domain right, and getting yourself fully fighting fit to send emails. First, you set up the emails themselves, get your domain, set up the emails themselves, get the technical bits right behind it. Always get the DKIM and the SPF settings right, because it's really worth doing. Always have a spare domain or two in place in case of emergency. They don't go off, they're just sitting there nicely ready to go. It means you can keep your marketing going. And do it now before you need it. In part 2, we're going to look at the laws in the US and the UK, and then we're going to show you how to keep your domain safe and how to keep your emails flowing. Once we've done the dull stuff, I promise you we'll get right into the email marketing things as well. But these technical bits are so important, I'm going to go on and on and on about them. So we will see you in part 2. In the meantime, thank you very much. I'm Johnny Lyle, and we will see you soon.